Now that the color palette and vectorized character drawing are available in CC libraries, I can go into Animate and set about animating the character. I'll open the CC Libraries panel in Animate and see the color palette and character sketches. Let's go ahead and grab this koala and simply click and drag onto our stage. We'll choose to import all paths into the same layer and frame, and once that's done, we can make sure that all of these paths are available to us as fills by choosing Modify, Break Apart. All of the strokes are now fills, and we're able to use our paint bucket to color our koala. So to do that, we can actually use some of the color themes that are imported from Adobe Capture CC. So perhaps I want to use this color right here, and I can use that with the paint bucket tool to actually fill in portions of the koala's face and his hands. Let's go ahead and choose another color to color in the sword, his nose, his pants, and his feet. So I'll choose this dark brown color here. Just like that. Let's go ahead and choose an additional color for his jacket. I'll choose this orange, and we're just simply clicking and it fills it in automatically for us. We'll also choose a color for his eyes and something for his sword. For his sword, I'll actually go and choose this silver gray color here. And finally, whites of his eyes as well. Now we need to go ahead and actually isolate different parts of his body so that they can be animated individually. So to do this, we'll choose the lasso selection tool here, and let's go ahead and zoom in. So I'm going to zoom in to 200% and simply draw a selection rectangle around all the pieces of the sword in his arm. With that selected, we can choose Modify, Convert to Symbol. We'll create a movie clip symbol and simply call this Sword Arm, and hit OK. We'll go ahead and scroll down to his feet, and let's even zoom in a little bit more. We'll again use the lasso selection tool to select his foot here, and we'll choose Modify, Convert to Symbol, and this will be his left leg. We'll do the exact same thing for the right leg here, using the lasso tool, making that selection, and choosing Modify, Convert to Symbol. Let's zoom back out to 100% and center our stage. Choosing our selection tool, we can select everything by clicking on this frame here. And let's go ahead and shift click on the right leg, the left leg, and the sword arm, so that the only thing that's actually selected is the rest of his body and his head. Now we can choose to Modify, Convert to Symbol, and we'll simply call this Body. Alright, at this point we have actually, if I use my selection tool and draw a rectangular selection around the koala, we have 4 separate movie clip symbols that can be animated independently. With those selected, let's right click and we can choose Distribute to Layers, because we need to have each individual movie clip instance on its own layer in order to animate it properly. We can easily remove this original layer here by hitting the delete button. And then we have the body, the right and left legs, and the sword arm. We'll go ahead and go out to 40 frames, making a selection across those frames, choosing Insert, Timeline, Frame. Now we have a frame span that is across all 40 frames. We can additionally select everything, right click, choose Create Motion Tween. You'll notice that everything turns blue. This indicates that we are using motion tweens here, and any changes we make on any of these frames will be reflected and automatically tweened by Animate CC. The first thing we'll do is go to frame 1, and we want to select everything on the frame and simply shift it over to about the center of the screen. Going down to frame 40, again, select everything on the screen, and we can shift that over a bit as well. Now we have some basic animation. If I scrub through, we can see how this animates. Now let's go ahead and tweak the individual pieces to animate separately. What I'm going to do is actually change the left and right legs on a number of these frames in order to just sort of tweak them a little bit. So going ahead and simply clicking and dragging them here, you'll notice as I do this, we get keyframes that appear along the timeline. I can do this very rough for now, and if I have time later on, I can then go ahead and tweak things appropriately to make them more realistic. You'll see as I scrub that he sort of shimmies his legs back and forth as he moves his body. Let's go ahead and have the body shift a little bit as well. I'm going to choose my transform tool here. Clicking at the corners, you can actually go ahead and shift the entire body, like so. And I just want this to happen here and there along the timeline, just so it seems his whole body is in motion as he moves back and forth. Of course, we can go ahead, and if there are any gaps in the legs, at any of these points, we can make adjustments to them. And as we do this, Animate CC will automatically create new keyframes for us. The last thing I'll want to do is actually change the way he's using his sword. So right now he's just sort of holding it here. So let's actually move that over a bit. And we can also use the free transform tool to change the transform point of this so that it's actually at his shoulder. In this case, whenever he actually moves his sword arm, it will move in relation to that specific point. Let's move it down here a bit. And shift that up a bit, and maybe just tweak it so he's sort of twirling his sword a little bit. And there we are. We'll now go ahead and actually lock everything down and play back the animation. Alright. At this point, let's go ahead and look at what's possible with a completed version of this koala animation. If interested in becoming more familiar with Animate CC and Capture CC, Adobe.com includes a variety of tutorials covering a wide range of features for these applications.